Hello everybody, welcome back to our YouTube channel.
Hello everyone.
Do you want to say the name?
Living Opera
With Soula
and Norman.
He's Norm.
I'm Norm.
And
how's everybody doing?
hopefully you're doing well.
Yes.
You know, we got so many responses after the little short video I did on Burnout, 3 signs of burnout, and then Norman shared a bit of his story.
Yep.
And we didn't realize the response was going to be
A few messages about it and people saying thanks for
So-
doing that. So we thought we would just briefly do a little bit of follow-up,
Yes.
just to give a few things that helped us,
Yes.
that helped us to deal with it and get through it. So,
Yes, and these worked for us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your case is going to be different. Hopefully, you're not even going to go through this. That's what we really
yeah,
want
that's
for you.
one of the reasons we're telling this, we're talking about is that if we can just say, hey, look for certain signals,
So you
then
don't
maybe
have
you
to
can
go through
avoid it. So,
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
So, all right, let's dive into it.
all right, are we gonna?
What's the first thing
No,
we recommend people
the first
do
thing.
when
hello,
they go through,
Elizabeth.
if they go through, when or if they go through burnout,
Burnout
depression,
or
anxiety, performance anxiety,
anxiety.
anything like that?
Well, the first thing you do, I mean, we just say this immediately, just go get help, go get professional help, go talk to somebody. Like we said last week, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of help out there.
Yes.
And so go take advantage that is there.
Hey,
Hello.
South Africa in the
I
house.
know. Awesome. So that's the first thing. That's the number one thing. You
Yes.
you have to get help with it. You need people to come alongside you and help you with it.
Yes.
And so that's the first thing.
And we
That's
didn't,
number
and
one.
we didn't really know that.
We did not. You know, I'm because of how I am personally. I'm a very private person, and so I will just, you know,
I'm gonna get you a T-shirt that says "I'm a very
private person, and so
I think you say that. In
I'm
every
gonna say I'm
broadcast
gonna say
now.
I'm a private person. You probably don't know what I'm thinking about.
I'm a very private
How's that?
person, and I do not
Is that
share
good?
those feelings.
And I do not.
They'll say it on the back. I
That's
do not
funny.
share those feelings. Will be on the back. I'm
Yeah.
a very private person.
That's
okay, I'm
funny.
sorry, Norman. I apologize.
So,
Okay, so
so anyway, so I will just kind of hunker down and push through.
power through.
Power through it.
Yeah.
But that makes it worse, and so
No.
that's a no.
That's not what
That's
we wanted.
one thing
That's
you don't
no.
do.
What's yes?
This is no. Yes is like yes.
Yes. Okay. So
Yes is like
that's
that.
a no.
So it's like field goal.
Therapy.
Yes.
Okay.
right.
So we have a.
So-
we have a.
So here's just a few things that after I talked to somebody.
Well, I just wanted to
Then we
say
did
also,
these
like,
things.
we did talk to somebody, and we saw her. I think I've seen her 3 times. You've seen her twice.
I saw more than that.
I'm talking about like different periods.
Yeah,
So one
yeah.
time, and then during the height of it,
Yeah.
and then one more time to follow up.
Mm-hmm.
And there was so much progress made that we were like, okay, we've reached the goal. And so it wasn't some big harrowing long thing. It was just like reorganizing.
The way you think.
Yeah, with the way you think, the way you process information,
Exactly.
and just talking about it. Sometimes you just need to talk about how tired you are, how scared you are,
Yeah.
how frustrated you are, or whatever. So that was kind of
That's right.
that was how that happened. So then now we're going to talk about like the stuff we did post that.
Yes.
Yes,
That
okay,
kind
sorry.
of because what you want, one of the things that you know, wherever anybody is in this, you want to create good habits.
Yes.
And if you have gotten to a point where it is an issue, where there is performance anxiety, where there is burnout, then you actually want to create new habits. Because at least that's what I had to do. I had to say, okay, this was actually feeding the burnout. This was feeding the performance anxiety because I wasn't putting myself in the best position to succeed in my mind. And so I had to shift. I had to change how I did day-to-day life. And it wasn't big things. It's what's really funny. They can be very subtle.
Yes.
But those little changes can make a huge difference. So it's crazy. But anyway, so on that point, the first thing I wanted to talk about in this, for me, one of the things that it felt like, when I first started this was that, when we got hearts. Yes. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Hearts, yes.
Hearts are yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but one of the things that was a problem for me is that when I was in the middle of it, I would feel like I was fighting and I wasn't fighting for something or fighting towards something and wasn't getting anywhere. Hello. It was like I was shadowboxing. I was just kind of swinging at the air, and nothing was changing, nothing was getting better. Anything I tried, and that just exhausted me more. And there you go. So that was one of the first things that.
So it's like the first step is actually admitting that this is where you are.
Yeah.
Right? And
yeah.
for you, like you're like, oh wow, this is where I am.
Exactly. And that was what it ended up feeling like to me.
Yeah.
That's how it registered. That's how I discovered what it was. Besides just being exhausted and afraid.
Yay!
So, yeah, exactly. So anyway, first one, seek professional help. Go get the help. Go talk to people. That's number one.
Maybe, or like even if you're married, talk to your spouse
Even
first.
if you're married, talk to your
That's
spouse. Huge.
Yeah. Talk to someone.
Talk to someone.
Like me.
Yeah, exactly. It took me a while.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes. So there you go.
Sad and
Now,
why are you sad
again,
and
like we said,
here,
baby.
I'm so sorry. I just had a piece of mediocre chocolate cake that I made, so I'm like, sure.
That cake is good, actually. She says mediocre, but
mediocre.
Hooray!
Sorry.
But yeah. So wait a minute. What was that?
Okay, so the first thing is talk to somebody that you trust, and so you did that. Then you saw a professional.
Yes.
And then these are like the things you did on the side that you developed your own program for yourself after getting these tools. Sorry,
exactly.
I won't interrupt you anymore.
So my brain is like so slow. Where are you going?
Standing on the side, so I don't interrupt you.
That's funny. Technology is, that's right. Thank you, Amelia. We appreciate that.
It's hard.
So anyway, the first thing I did is you have to rest.
Yes.
You've got to rest. You have to take the time and recuperate and just relax. You have to do it. And if it takes, it's not about you just take a week or 2 weeks and you take a good chunk of time. And that'll be different for everybody. Everybody will need different things, and you have to kind of feel that out. But it's good to kind of separate yourself from it, what's causing, and get away from that so you can recharge and re-energize.
Because too, let's say like if you have reached a burnout point most of the time, if you've been working out, it's different. What happens to lots of different people at lots of different stages in their career, like student career, whatever. Also, but. In your case, like, because some people hear time off, like, well, how can I afford to take time off, like, literally financially?
Yeah, sure.
But if you've been working that much, hopefully you've been managing your money well enough to say, you know what, I need 2 months off. I have to take this time off physically to recuperate.
And it's okay to do that.
And you need to do that because those 2 months, first of all, the industry won't forget about you. Not at all. No. Like,
it's
definitely not. And
it's
if you
good.
don't take those 2 months, you could be jeopardizing the future because you haven't taken care of yourself. So I just agree with Norma. That's like the number one most important priority is to make sure that you are well and you are functioning at most optimum rate.
You have to invest in your own well-being.
Yes.
And because what we do is actually not, there's the care of what we do. We have to care for ourselves, but it is a giving thing.
Yes.
We have what we have and we give it to someone else. But if I am empty, then I have nothing to give to somebody else. And so that's why we need that time to fill ourselves up. And that actually takes me to point number 2.
Segue.
Bam! Yes, I was like a pro.
That wasn't even a plan.
That wasn't a plan or anything. So the next thing is fill yourself up with good things.
Yes.
Fill your mind, fill up your body, fill up your emotions, all of it, fill it with good things. Read a book, listen to music that you like, be with your friends, be with your family, obviously. All of those things that allow you to really put positive, good, uplifting things.
I'm definitely doing that as soon as I can. We learn to deal with extra stress, but then we easily don't understand. We cross the line of what's doable and healthy.
That's
Yeah,
true.
sure.
And it will happen before you even know it. It's really funny how that is. Hello there. Wow, everybody.
Would you just go into, because you, for a little while there, especially coming at the tail end of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you just talk about like your little mini routine that you created for yourself?
Sure,
In
but
case it's helpful for somebody.
what I did is I actually created just on a 3x5 card.
I think I've got some right here. on my desk.
And I wrote down 10 things that I was going to do every day.
No, I don't have them in here.
So,
Oh, wait, I do have them in here. Card like this.
yeah, a card like that, right there, boom, just like
You
that.
carry them around with him for ages.
Yeah, and I just made a list, 10 things I do every day,
Yes.
and some of it was, I was going to read a book. It
Even
didn't have to be a
just
lot,
one
just a
page.
few pages.
Yeah.
Nothing huge. Hello. Nothing huge. I would sit down and rest. 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You just sit down and you rest in the middle of the day. You just rest. You don't think about anything. You don't do anything.
No scrolling.
No scrolling. You don't use your
No
electronics.
YouTube.
Nothing.
No.
That was a big one for me too. I would, you start to. Everybody does this in a different way, but you kind of start to numb yourself to things.
Yeah.
And so what I would do is just kind of binge watch stuff. And I'm not saying that binge watching is bad. There are times absolutely.
Sometimes you gotta just like.
But sometimes you have to just kind of separate yourself from that because there is something in it that is not.
It's addictive.
It's addictive. It's
Yeah.
unhealthy because just to be constantly
Stimulated.
stuck by it and stimulated.
Yeah.
So be a better husband. I don't know if I succeeded, but I tried. Hopefully, just literally points like this,
Hey. Banana,
meditation, things like that.
Yeah, and also what I liked too, like sometimes when you were resting, you had like your own playlist of like
Listen to music.
Mahler
Yeah, I
and
listen
just
to
beautiful meditative music
really
that was very
beautiful stuff.
healing for you, and I
Yeah.
thought that was really great.
It does. It helps. It's amazing how much just those little things will help.
That was very restorative
So-
for you, and like you did change in that period.
Yeah, I
and
did.
it's like brought you to where you are now,
Yeah.
where you're super excited about the job again, ready to go,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't take very long.
No, the thing is that if you do take that time apart and just really put that, then you really have something to go with. And then when you feel that start to dip, then you go, whoop,
Gotta
I gotta
like,
take
shake
a
up
step
the routine
back
again.
and
Yeah.
kind of try to restore myself. So
Yes.
that's point number 2. Fill yourself with good things. And again, that will be different for everybody.
Yes.
Did you manage to do all 10 things every day? Short answer for now, pretty much yes. Because I gave myself small tasks. But we'll talk about that at the end again. Is that right? Is that what we're doing? We're
Sure.
answering-
Well, I mean,
we'll
it
answer
doesn't- it
questions.
doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. Well,
You can answer that.
did I do all 10 things every day? I actually did.
Yeah.
Because I didn't they weren't like, it wasn't,
They didn't feel like work.
they
right?
didn't feel like work. It
Yeah.
wasn't work, and it wasn't. I didn't make them. They weren't. I need to take an hour and do something on all 10 things.
Like one of them was, I'm going to read one page of a book, but it
Read
has to
one
be
page
like
of a
really
book.
good book.
I would sit down and listen to a really nice piece of music.
Yes.
Stuff like that. I'm gonna go out and
Go for a walk.
Go for a walk.
Yeah.
It's great. It's just little things that kind of reset you and set you. There's something. It really is something about the changing of habits and changing of patterns. As long as you're making the right changes and you're filling yourself up with good things.
Yeah.
Because as we all know, there's a lot of stuff coming at us right now in the world that is negative. There's just a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And so it's that much more important to kind of recharge yourself. And
Well, like we always say, it doesn't take a genius to see the problems.
it actually is much more difficult to see
To see a solution.
a
than the
solution
problem.
than it is to see
Or
a
to
problem.
speak to a solution.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than be like, well, that's the problem. Be like, duh. Thanks
Yes,
for that input.
you're right. It's true. So anyway, that's point number 2. Fill yourself up with good things. Well, thank you, Dave.
You're so welcome.
Absolutely, it's our pleasure. Next is be careful in these periods, and actually in general, who you surround yourself with, who you give
Big time.
access to your life. Now, that doesn't mean you're rude to people or mean to people, or I'm not talking about that. But what I am saying is that it is very important the people that you allow to be the closest to you.
Yes.
You absorb people's kind of moods and attitudes, and if you want to call it energy, you can call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
But there's something about,
Can I say something about this?
Please.
I think, and Francisca makes a good point that then you find the solution and you put it to work. Absolutely.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Yes, okay. I think one of the difficult things, I think a lot of people who are interested in this project are either leaders or have potential for leadership. And this is one of the things, in one sense, we didn't set out to assume leadership, but in one sense, because we are effectively mentoring, several dozen people a week through this project, we have assumed a position of leadership. So one of the problems is that when you are constantly giving and leading, you simply won't have the bandwidth to accommodate every single person that wants a chunk of your time or some of your advice or your friendship. And we have a marriage to uphold also. So these are all factors that will affect you and who you allow in your inner circle. So as your influence and leadership grows, and all of you guys, when you apply these things that we're teaching you, it will, because you'll be healthier. And as we know, true health is a scarcity in our world. It just is. So just keep this in mind when Norman is saying about surrounding yourself with certain kinds of people. It's not that you don't help people. You always help people. But you do have to set up certain boundaries eventually as certain things grow and expand in your life. Otherwise, you will be totally burnt out. You won't have joy because you'll be spent. You'll just be emotionally drained. Yeah. And so you have to really watch that. And I think, I hope that's part of what you wanted to say, but it's something I really needed to do because I love to be with people, and I'm an extrovert. Yeah,
for me it's easier because I like people, but I don't necessarily have to be around them.
Like for me, I would love to just spend like 10 hours on the phone every day talking to all of my friends and everybody who wants to chat and do stuff and do things. But I just realized, especially last year with my workload, it was going to be impossible. Yeah. And my phone was blowing up all the time, and I just, I was just like, I can't do this. I'm literally gonna cry because it was just too much.
And so that's what this is. I mean, it's a way of, you have to set boundaries and do the best you can, and you want to help everybody, but you have to. If you aren't well, it's going to be hard to help somebody else. Yeah. And that's not about promoting any kind of selfishness. It's about the self-care that it takes to actually help somebody.
After I came back from China. I was so exhausted that I had never physically felt that level of exhaustion before. Yeah. Because I had gone, it took I forget how many thousands of kilometers, because I had to go to Dubai, and going from Vienna to Dubai and then Dubai to China was equidistant. And so and so I did that trip, went to China, did a role debut. I did 4 rehearsals, all the orchestra rehearsals, and 2 shows back to back, and then took that trip back, by the way, in economy. Whoa, sitting up after all of that for another 20 hours. So I had done door to door, like 50 hours of traveling, a role debut, 2 performances, and then came back, and then I had to turn around and travel and go to see Norma because it was our wedding anniversary. And I knew I was going to bounce back, but I had not felt that level before of tiredness, and I wasn't expecting it. I didn't know that was going to happen. So that was really hard because suddenly I just didn't have energy for anything. I felt very pressed down, and I was like, what is happening to me? And it took a couple of weeks to bounce back from that. Yeah. Just because it was at the end of the season, and I had done so many things. Like 2019 was like an epic, cool, amazing time, like so much fun, unexpected stuff came up, and also the creation of this project. But I just found myself completely tired and just not into it, like over it. So, you know, and like I couldn't stand talking to anybody, see anybody. I just was like, I want to be with Norman or sleep.
That happens. But that's kind of what ends up. That's what ends up happening.
And then we went home, and then it got better after a while. Anyway, so tangent over.
Yeah. So then that leads you into, when you're talking about the kind of people that are around you, one of the main reasons for that is because you want to be careful what is said around you, what you talk about. Yes. Because words have weight. Yeah. They carry a lot of power, and so you have to be careful what kind of conversations you have. I mean, this, believe it or not, I mean, I know this can sound very simplistic, but it actually is quite extraordinary, the weight of conversations that you have, the way you talk about things, because how you talk about things, or how people talk about things with you, it's a reflective of your perspective in a certain area. And so if your perspective on something comes from a negativity, then I'm going to, if my perspective is predominantly negative about a certain issue, then that's the way I'm going to approach it.
Yeah.
And so, as opposed to,
When if you're suffering from burnout,
and if you're suffering from burnout,
the last thing you need
then-
is another bad negative.
because that's
thing.
what's going on in your mind
Yeah.
anyway, is that there's a lot of you don't know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And so if that's coming at you from the outside as well,
Yeah.
it's very heavy. It's a very heavy thing. So so that would be the other thing. Be very careful. Start to change. For me, you have to change the conversation. You have to change the nature of the conversation. And it's kind of funny. It might be weird sometimes. You're talking to somebody and they're doing something, and you can say, could we maybe change the
right
mood
now.
of this,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Or just don't engage.
Or don't engage. Some
You
people
know.
do that. There are a lot of ways to
Like-
do it. Again, we're not promoting rudeness.
No.
I'm not promoting rudeness. We're supposed to be nice to people, but at the same time, it's about building up that kind of strength in yourself again, and that's one of the ways you do it.
Well, and also the things that you say, you end up believing them. You really do.
Yeah.
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I think there's this whole industry and trend towards mentorship coaches. Why? Because people need this kind of support.
Yes.
And they don't get it. And
Yeah.
then they can't go forward.
Yeah, you don't have the
because
strength.
one of the messages we got was about saying like I felt like I had to do everything alone and I didn't have the strength. And this is such a thing that happens to so many people, is you feel like you have to carry this all in your own
All by
strength.
yourself, yeah.
And then people eventually burn out. But the truth is that anybody who is successful always has people around them and has good people helping them. Uh-oh. This video wants to stop over here. Don't stop.
So-
Low power mode. So, you don't have to do it alone. You
No.
do not have to do it alone.
No, you don't.
All right. What's
So-
our next point?
That is all my points.
Oh, dang, you did the points. All
yeah.
right. Great.
Yeah.
Alrighty, let's see now. Okay, I'm gonna wrap up
Yeah,
YouTube
we'll wrap
because
up
this
YouTube
video
and
wants
then
to
we'll
die anyway.
take
so just
questions
1
over
second,
here.
Instagram. So thank you so much for joining us on some of the things that helped us to overcome burnout, and we will see you
Hopefully they'll help you too.
soon.
Bye-bye.
YouTube. Bye.
Bye, YouTube.